Well, we figured it'd be a difficult game. Miami's a senior-laden team, not necessarily kids that have been in their program for 4 years, but older players nonetheless. And they made it a difficult game for us offensively, especially in the second half. We couldn't necessarily run anything smoothly because they really trapped, whether it was a first pass, an entry pass into a set play, whether it was initial ball screen to start a particular set. They just threw two men on the ball and forced us to play more instinctive, and we struggled with that. We're a work in progress like any team on November 13th, but our experience that we gain from situations like that hopefully will be meaningful as we move forward. I thought in the first half defensively, we did a terrible job of allowing Washington, and I say allowing, he's really good, just to get in the lane and make things happen. He's a terrific point guard. He was really he was a challenge for our entire team. It's not necessarily a one-on-one coverage because in today's game, as you know, so many times those guards are freed by big setting perimeter ball screen. So they got in the lane way too much in the first half. We did a much better job to start the second half defensively. But then we sort of ran into problems offensively, couldn't score for 7 minutes. And, our zone was effective down the stretch. So we have a lot of work ahead of us. It's something that we already knew before we came into the night. But as I told Coach Cooper, they've got a really good team. I won't be surprised if they won't be one of the better teams in the Mack. And we have to improve from today.
Coach, it was another marathon game with a lot of fouls. I think it was 2 hours and 17 minutes. Is it clear at this point what adjustments need to be made, or are guys still kind of learning what the fouls are and how things are going to be called this year?
Well, here's the thing. The fouls, at least from our end, I can't control Miami's, but the fouls from our end, we had some stupid, ridiculous fouls. They called it in 1975 when somebody blocked you out and you tried to go over their back. They called that. I mean, this isn't an adjustment period of, guys can't hand check on the perimeter. I didn't see much of that. I saw us committing unnecessary, ridiculous fouls, and we have to get more discipline, and that's on me to correct.
Do you coach any differently, Chris, because of these new rules? Do you teach any differently?
Yeah, certainly we emphasize it, but as I told a reporter the other day, Paul, you don't bring officials into every practice, so you find yourself your graduate assistants, your assistant coaches, myself blowing the whistle, saying that's a foul, but we also have to get through practice. But we try to coach it differently. We have a lot of drills that we work on, trying to guard the ball with our feet, not our hands. But again, I thought a lot of the fouls that were called tonight had nothing to do with the new rules or the new emphasis, at least on our end. No, at least on our end.
The shot clock. Do you play more zone? Do you run a 24-second clock in practice?
Yeah, we've always abbreviated the shot clock in practice, and a large part of that is because we do a majority of our drills in the half court. So we're going to chew off the 6-7 seconds it takes you to get the ball over, half court. So, our drills will vary from putting 20 seconds on a shot clock or 24 seconds on a shot clock, and executing on both ends of the floor when we practice.
Do you see yourself playing more zone?
I think it's going to be a curveball for our team. I wouldn't say that we'll ever be a team that is going to run out and play 40 minutes, but the type of zone that we play keeps our big guys in the lane where they can rebound the ball. I think we're long in certain positions on the perimeter. We have a guy on our staff who's a graduate assistant who, played at Auburn, and Allen said, Coach, and he'll go out there every once in a while and just try to make passes against the zone, and says it's really hard, with our length. JP does a really good job up top. So does Remy. Jalen's very quick at the free throw line. So for us, we feel like it's a an effective defense, especially when you throw it here and there. If you play it 20 straight minutes and a half, teams can get a beat on it.
Did you call a live ball timeout with about 2:57 to play?
I did, but I knew that I couldn't. So I was really telling Miles, hey, timeout, timeout. I was telling more Miles than the official.
How big was Miles there to start the second half? Not only scoring, but they took a charge. He really kind of got things started for you.
He did. He played, he played like a leader needs to play. Unfortunately, he only played that way for about 4 or 5 minutes of the game, and I've come to expect a lot more out of Miles. He has to be much better on both ends of the floor. He has to be ready to play like he was in the second half and the first half. And, he's a guy that inspires and his teammates. He rallies those guys. He's got to do that all the time. He can't just pick and choose when to do it. And if he does, then we'll pick and choose when we win.
You mentioned trying to make the play more instinctually on offense. In that regard, how important was Edmonds' playmaking ability tonight and aggressiveness taking the ball to him?
Well, he's super quick. He finishes better than any point guard I've had at the rim because he's 6'6". But he was shaky at times. He's got to be able to handle a trap. I know he's thin, but it's what's in here. It's not what's here. And he's got to be able to be stronger with the ball and know his looks. Again, I mean, how can you fault a guy that's played really one college game? I know he was in a couple last year, but he was thinking more about his knees than he was his play at the time. He just has to be a guy that uses these games as experience. So the next time we're in this situation, he's not getting 3 turnovers. We get that little sideline advance pass. He doesn't step out of bounds. He knows that, like, hey, might not get an easy one here against their press, which I think I have an easy one, but we're going to get something. And again, being in those situations hopefully will help him long term.
What was your take on the 2 technicals, Edmund and then Jalen?
It's frustrating. With Edmonds, I can see it either way. Official gave me a clear explanation. Said, hey, I don't mind if he tries to clear space and look down, but he doesn't have to do a chin up in doing that. So I explained that to Edmund. It won't happen again with Ed. With Jalen, it just seems like, he has a reputation that he needs to clean up. The officials don't need to clean it up. He needs to clean it up. And we work on it every day in practice. I'd like to think it's getting better, but reality is he got a technical tonight, and he can't get technicals or it's going to hurt our team.
Coach, I know that you said you'd like to see a little bit more control when out of Edmund. At the same time, for a kid that essentially, like you said, was playing his first game, is that his attitude to just continually take it to the rim? Because he looked like a leader tonight.
Yeah, he is, and he is fearless despite his frame. Understand that, like, when I said in control, I just mean in control of the game, not necessarily he's playing out of control, but just managing the game down the stretch. You play a little bit differently with 3 minutes to go and you have an 8-point lead than you do when the game's at halftime and it's a 2-possession game. So he's going to learn those things. He's extremely aggressive. He gets in the lane maybe better than anybody we have on our team, and he's going to create not only opportunities for himself but his teammates as we go through the season.
What is it about J.P. McCura that just makes him such a spark for this team?
He's got a high level of confidence, and he's had it ever since he arrived at Xavier. No moment is too big for J.P. He doesn't get scared when the lights come on. He doesn't get scared when it's a tie game with 4 minutes to go. Sometimes he needs to get a little scared and pull back on the throttle a bit. But as I said to Byron and Joe, he has to get a little bit more focused and a little bit more locked in on the defensive end. I mean, he gives it his all. I mean, he's playing until his tongue's hitting the floor and he plays hard. But there's a second part of that. And we got to get him to figure that out a little bit more.
Bit of an adjustment there with the haircut this year.
Yeah, he had that hairstyle at some point last year. I think that was his mom making him get his hair cut because he sort of had the Pistol Pete Maravich mop going there that I've told him, for the last couple of weeks, you need to cut your hair. He obviously doesn't listen to me, but he listens to Mom, so it's a good look.